Hello, this is Joe, or as you used to know me as, Yup boy, Joe. And today we are going to be doing another reading and listening to Scott, which is here and always here, and he will never leave you because he's
Jesus
beautiful.
Christ.
And today our creepy readings with the cycle is going to be I heard the last words of the woman in the woods. But we don't know what those are, okay? Because I don't think they're going to tell us.
They probably won't.
But as we go, here is your boy.
Dude,
Scott's here.
What a fucking intro that is. I understand why you give me shit for my podcast intros. Okay. My hometown of Cedar Creek, Colorado, had a woman who fucked me. My hometown of Cedar Creek, Colorado, had a woman who everyone loved to hate. Her name was Miss Gatlin, because she got that gat. she both she was both my elementary school janitor and the scapegoat for all unfortunate events around our town. The Cedar Creek elderly despised her for having a son out of wedlock, and the town parents scorned her for giving said son too much freedom, a parenting style which had supposedly led to his death at the hands of our town's eponymous river. What the fuck? Eponymous river?
Hippopotamus?
Hippopotamus?
I don't know.
As for the children of Cedar Creek, we didn't care at all about social convictions or parental negligence, but we all agreed that Miss Gatlin was an ugly lady, and that was enough to warrant our cruelty. Society at its finest. If you're ugly, you get treated like shit.
Yep.
My best friend at the time was a curly-haired menace to society named Isaac, who by 5th grade had established himself as a ringleader amongst the neighborhood boys. He did his best to inconvenience Miss Gatlin. Through his pranks, did little to rattle her. If we spread rumors about her poor hygiene just within her earshot, Miss Gatlin didn't bat an eye. If we released bugs inside her janitorial closet, she calmly swept them outside. If we stuffed rotten food inside her locker, she cleaned it out quietly without complaint. Our usual tricks never worked on Miss Gatlin, and all of us unimaginative kids were stumped by how to best a woman whose job was to clean up messes of all kinds.
What the fuck? Okay, these kids are also just like off the bat are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
I really hope they get
ganked.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are some shitty ass kids. I'm not gonna lie.
I was gonna say, like, off the bat, they're not even, there's no redeeming. Like, yeah, we try to make this lady fucking miserable every single day.
Yeah, that's
we
just
try to hurt her
fucked.
and make her miserable.
It's really fucked up. In my last year of primary school, Hanukkah fell a week and a half before we were dismissed for winter break. All the Jewish children thoroughly enjoyed showing off their gifts to the rest of us. We had to wait an eternity to get our presents. Thanks to Kim Possible, Spy Kids, and Totally Spies, every kid in the Cedar Creek was obsessed with espionage. So Isaac's gift was a spy tech kit for kids, made him even more popular than usual. Most of the kits were cheap plastic junk, but there was a small spy radio that seemed very well manufactured. It consisted of an earpiece and a button-sized microphone that was supposedly capable of transmitting audio up to a radius of 5 miles. Isaac, myself, and the rest of our crew spent most of the week before winter break running around town and testing the capabilities of the device. The audio quality was surprisingly good, although the earpiece and microphone could only be separated for about 3 miles before the sound became too distorted to understand. It was a novel concept for a few days, but after a while we grew bored of playing walkie-talkie. Isaac wanted to use it for its intended purpose, surveillance, and he had the perfect target in mind.
Holy shit.
Dude's gonna fucking spy. These are 5th graders.
No. I'm wondering, how old is this story? Because those are dude,
8 months ago.
My elementary school.
8 months ago. Yeah, that was my elementary shit too. I'm not gonna lie. Spy shit.
Totally Eyes and the spy toys.
Yeah,
Like, those things were cool, but at the same time, that is old stuff.
that means this author, 11
Is
velociraptors, is probably the same age as us.
I was gonna say like
All 11 of them.
just 11 velociraptors typing. Like,
Me and the crew of 11 velociraptors.
watch, this is just a confession.
Yeah, this is just him.
Go on.
On the last day before winter break, Isaac and I glued the button-sized device to the back of an old brooch we had found in his sister's jewelry box. We covered it up with a strip of velvet and then glued on the pin and hatch. And by the time we were done, we couldn't tell anything was amiss. We put it in a small white box, which we put in my backpack for later. We determined that it should be one. I should be the one to deliver it. Given Isaac's reputation as a prankster, after school, I found Miss Gatlin in the staff break room. She barely looked at me as I walked into the room. I noticed along the far wall of the break room a wall of cubbies. I was going to read that as cubies. Each one marked with the name of the staff member. All of them were filled with gifts and letters, presumably from parents or other employees at the school. All of them, that is, except one. You can't be in here, kid, Miss Gatlin said to me in her gruff voice. I know. I swung my backpack onto my stomach and finished around for the box. It had gotten a little banged up in my bag, but I figured she wouldn't really care. I procured it and held it out to her. But I wanted to give you this before the break. She stopped packing up, turning fully towards me. For a long moment, she just stood there, staring suspiciously at the box. Setting her bag down, she took a few steps forward and grabbed the box out of my hand. She gave it a slight rattle and then opened it slowly. When we saw the brooch, she gingerly took it out of the box and turned it around in her hand. Then she paused again, looking between the glittering fake emerald and me. It's not new. Sorry, it used to be my mom's, I told her, going off of the script Isaac and I had conceived to add more authenticity to the handoff. She doesn't wear it anymore, but I thought you might like it. That it's slowly becoming more Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
Miss Gatlin kept staring at me, her expression unreadable. I half expected her to chuck it into the garbage bin in the corner of the room, but to my relief, she gave it a single nod. Thank you, he said, and pinned the brooch onto her cardigan carefully, like it was a precious gem and not some cheap hunk of plastic. I gave her a smile, and she did not return, and then she shooed me away. Isaac was waiting for me in the woods outside school. I flashed him a thumbs up, and he slapped my back twice in congratulations. He pulled the earpiece out of his backpack and held it between us. I put my ear next to the speaker and was delighted when I could hear movement. The sound was slightly more muffled now, but the velvet backing put an audio quality that was still really good. We heard the sound of snow crunching under Miss Gatlin's feet as she walked herself through the woods home. We listened giddily for a few minutes, then raced back to my house to celebrate our success with hot chocolate. Since we had the attention span of two 10-year-old boys, we forgot about our triumphant until just a few minutes before Isaac's mom came to pick him up. When I remembered, I pulled out the earpiece, which we had decided would live at my house since I was closer to Miss Gatlin's, and listened. Whose voice is this? More than last year, but not as much as the year before that. What do you think about that? Do you like it? Can you feel it? I see. Me personally, I've loved it since I was a little girl. It falls so prettily.
What?
Whose voice is this?
I think that's listening, and it's some random guy like last year.
Yeah, because like it. The next sentence is, "What the heck is she saying?" Isaac asked me, as if I guess it was her.
Okay.
Well, okay. Isaac asked me as I had any clue. The better question in mind, at least, was who the heck was she talking to? She had no kids or husband and didn't have any friends as far as I knew. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say it's her lover, but also, holy shit. Okay, you know how like kids like sometimes are like, yeah, my teacher doesn't have any life outside of school. What?
Yeah.
Watch, she's like the coolest girl in the world. She's like she sleeps around, stuff like that.
You got a soda fountain.
Yeah.
That's what I would care about as a kid, bro.
She got the soda fountain at her house.
Hell yeah. The McDonald's Sprite. It hit different.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I don't know, I said. She's talking about snow, I think. Through the questions. Can you feel it? Wait. Can you feel it? Seemed an odd thing to ask anyone. We sat there listening to her talk for 5 minutes straight. I never heard Miss Gatlin talk that much in my life, even though I've seen her for most days since I was only 5 years old. Looking back, I'm not entirely sure what we had expected, but it certainly wasn't a monologue of that length. We strained our ears listening for another voice, but heard nothing. Maybe she's... What the fuck? Schizophrenic? No, I don't know what the fuck that word is. Oh, I think maybe he's trying to say schizophrenic,
but not.
But he doesn't know how to say the word. Okay, makes sense. Isaac volunteered. I had no idea what that was, but I trusted his authority. His mom showed up to take him home, and I turned the speaker off to walk him outside. After that, every once in a while, I would turn the speaker on and listen. It seemed that no matter the time, but be it early in the morning or late at night, Miss Gatlin was always talking. She talked about all kinds of things, everything from clothing to stocks, to the weather, to the politics. Sometimes she prayed, talking too quickly, so quickly and quietly that I could only make out 1 out of every 5 or so words. She apologized often and spoke constantly of a promise. Sometimes when I turned on the speaker, all I heard were sobs, and sometimes the conversations were so strange, I couldn't make heads or tails of them. A young woman smiled at me today at the grocery store. Isn't that just the sweetest thing? I felt like it's been so long since someone smiled at me like that. Yes, I know she was just doing her job. Probably doesn't even know my name. Oh, how hard this has been. How lonesome. But I am so very close to the finish line. I won't break my promise now. You know what's funny? That voice hurts more than the other one.
I'm almost really scared of what the promise is.
Yeah, because I'm gonna do it in that voice.
No, I'm just more of like, it's almost time to the end.
Yeah. A few days ago, we returned to school. Isaac and I made the trek over to her house in an attempt to figure out who she was speaking to. I had seen her house a few times before, and each time I was taken back by how small it was. Isolated and weathered, her home stood at the edge of the southern woodlands on a large plot of land, off of a street with very little through traffic. I remember standing on the side of the road with Isaac staring at the shack-like house, which must have only had a room for a bedroom, a bathroom, and maybe a tiny kitchen. There's no way anyone lives there, right? Isaac said after a while of standing and staring. We were too far away to peer through the windows, but we were too afraid to venture any closer. She's either a witch or she's just some sad, ugly old lady who went crazy from having no friends. Isaac got bored quickly, so we went not too long after that. After we had made our way partway down the street, something compelled me to turn around and give the house a final look. When I did, I saw the unmistakable shape of Miss Gatlin standing on the porch staring in our direction. I turned away and grabbed a hold of Isaac's arm. She's watching us, I whispered to him. His eyes grew wide. Shit, he said. Should we run? No, that'll only look suspicious. Let's keep walking. We walked until we were out of eyeshot, and then we ran all the way home. I'm not quite sure what spooked us so badly, but for some reason, even when I was back in safety of my own home, I couldn't shake the feeling of eyes burrowing into my back. And soon they'll all be coming back. It's hard seeing them sometimes, knowing my Oliver was among them once. Sometimes I think I see him. At least it'll get easier soon, thanks to you. By the time we went back to school, my friends had grown bored of the spy gear. I volunteered to return Isaac's speaker, but he said it was practically useless now since we couldn't retrieve the microphone. Surprisingly, Miss Gatlin continued to wear the brooch every day. It was always pinned to her non-work clothes, so the only time she was unbugged, as Isaac put it, was when she was in her janitorial outfit at my school. Seeing her guard the brooch so carefully made me feel kind of bad. Was that the only gift she had gotten for Christmas? Was it the only gift she had gotten in the past decade? Maybe she wasn't a witch or crazy. Maybe she was just lonely and learned to cope by talking to herself. Months passed, Isaac and company finally coming to terms with the fact that they would never get the rise they were looking for out of Miss Gatlin. Moved on to terrorizing a... What the fuck is that? Hermodulin old man? I don't know how to say that word.
Hold on. Jeez. Every time like I look away, you start like learning.
I keep learning new words.
Yeah, where are you looking at?
This is bad-tempered and negative. What it means.
Hermundul? Okay, yeah.
Sure. Who lived across from Cedar Creek Elementary and always yelling at kids for one reason or another. I was happy for Miss Gatlin. One day in March, I found her sitting on a bench at the edge of campus during lunch. Took a seat next to her, not expecting much. She took one look at me, then fixed her gaze back at the sad-looking sandwich in her hand. "What do you want?" she asked without looking at me. "Nothing. Just wanted to sit here." She picked at the sandwich. "We're not friends, kid." "I know. You don't have any friends." "That's right," she nodded. "Maybe one day, though," I said, and to my surprise, she laughed. I didn't even realize she was capable of laughing. She looked at me properly for the first time in our brief conversation, and I noticed that she was smiling. It was an unpracticed smile, but a genuine one. "Yeah," she said, "maybe one day." Miss Gatlin packed up and headed back to the school building. After that, she left a bag of mini Oreos on the bench next to me. I think she did it on purpose. I grew accustomed to checking up on her every now and then, listening to her conversations with herself. Sometimes it almost felt like she was talking to me. Looking back on it now, I realized what a little villain I was, and what an immense invasion of privacy I was committing. I wish that I could take it back now, especially considering what happened next. Friday, May 17th, marked the 10-year anniversary of Oliver Gatlin's death. I kept an eye on Miss Gatlin throughout the day, but she didn't seem any more dejected than usual. Maybe things were finally looking up for her. In any case, although I hadn't checked in on her for a while, I decided that evening to see how she was doing. My parents were gone for the weekend, and I was only allowed to stay at home alone if I stayed inside the whole time. So I had nothing better to do, not long after sunset, as I lounged on the floor of my bedroom. I turned on the earpiece. Miss Gatlin was talking to herself, as always, but there was something strange about her tone. She sounded more excited than ever. "Almost there! Almost there! Almost there!" She repeated those two words over and over until at exactly 11:44 p.m. she let out a sound that I only understood years later to be a cry of triumph. "It's done! It is done! Archangel! Thank you! Thank you! 10 years!" Yeah, what's up?
Just thinking of she's punishing herself. 10 years and I finally figured it out.
I did it! 10 years!
Dark angels.
The Dark Angel! Thank you! 10 years of solitude, it was worth every second! Now, Angel, bring him back! Bring him back to me! Almost going to Hulk Hogan standards. Oh yeah, brother! What was she on about? Were those song lyrics or something? I strained my ears listening for another person out of habit, but of course there was only Miss Gatlin's voice. After a moment, her cries of happiness faded, her voice taking on a confused tone. "What do you mean? No, that can't be true. I kept my promise. I followed every rule. I let no one in, kept no companions, made no friends. I kept my wish a secret, as you told me. My angel, I sat up slowly, the building terror in her voice putting me on edge, even from miles away. And then she asked a question that still haunts me this day. What do you mean I had an audience? There was a moment of silence, and then the surefire sound of the velvet back on the brooch ripped away. I could hear her breath sharper and clearer than ever as she repeated a single word. No. No. No, 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 no. She withdrew from the microphone, her rapid breaths replaced by what sounded like her front door being thrown open with a bang. Then there was one there holy fuck. There was no more noise from the microphone. I remember standing up in my bedroom and not quite understanding what had just happened and not quite knowing what to do next. Something told me that I had to go downstairs and make sure that the doors were locked. So I told myself to man up and force myself down the stairs to the dark first floor. I made my way around the whole house, checking the doors and windows. Once I was done, I just stood there. Somehow I knew she was coming, and that was nothing I could do to stop it. I thought I was hearing the wind, but as it grew louder, I realized I was hearing wailing. I heard it long before I saw her, that gut-wrenching cry, that sound that I had previously heard while only pale imitations of in movies, where a mother loses her child, standing in the darkness of my living room. I watched her sprint from the tree line towards my house. Her mouth was wide open, her eyes glazed over, and her body dressed in a white nightgown. She looked and sounded like something out of my worst night terrors. I dropped to the floor and crawled away from the window, taking cover behind a couch. Why? She howled, her mournful voice rising and falling as she ascended the steps of my front porch and slammed her fist against the door. Why? I spit all over the place when I did that.
It cut out. You cut out so hard.
I hope it didn't cut out in the recording at least.
No, you're good. It was like at the very end, the last Y.
Oh, I think it cut out because I fucking spit it everywhere.
No, like the letter Y.
Oh.
When you're like, and it was just like cut out like at the very last end.
Cut out for you too. That's funny.
Yeah.
I needed to get to the phone, but the house phone was right next to the window, and I was petrified. She hit the door so hard, I was afraid that the hinges would give way. How could you do this to me? I clamped a hand over my mouth. She possibly known for certain that I was in the house. Could she? The origin of the wailing shifted as the rounded wrap-around porch, the heavily knocks of her fist against the door giving way to the thudding of her shoes on the wooden porch floor. I stuck my head around the couch and saw no one on the front window, but when I looked to the side window, I saw her face hovering inches from the glass. I screamed at the top of my lungs, ah, as her fist came into contact with the glass, shattering it. I was so horrified by the rain of blood-speckled glass that I almost missed the sight of a shotgun scarab strapped to her torso. Holy fuck. Certain I was about to die, I screamed at her to go away, to leave me alone, and she screamed right back at me, asking questions that I didn't understand. Dogs had begun to bark at the commotion of my next-door neighbor's porch light. Please go away! I shrieked as I finally found my footing and raced to the phone. I grabbed it from the holders, starting to type 911 as I decided whether or not I should risk running to the neighbor's house. When I looked at the broken window, though, she was nowhere to be seen. The wailing had rescinded, growing fainter and fainter until I couldn't hear her at all. I stood there dumbly until the sound faded entirely, my hands shaking. She was gone, I was sure of it. Should I call emergency services? After a moment, I heard another fainter sound and recognized the staticky audio immediately as the transmission from the Isaac spy gear. I raced upstairs, still clutching the phone, and grabbed the speaker from the floor where I had dropped it. I pressed it against my ear, listening to the faint sound of the familiar force. I hope this was worth it, kid, it said, calmly and coldly. I hope you and your friends can laugh about this. I heard a bang, and then I heard nothing at all. It took 2 weeks for the police to find her body. Her final resting place was deep in the woods under a thick shroud of junipers, not far from the banks of Cedar Creek, as her face was mutilated beyond recognition. Yeah. Her body was identified. Oh, fucking hell. Mutilated, whatever. Mutilated beyond recognition. Her body was identified by the shotgun laying beside her. That they say that although she was covered in enough blood to entice every animal within a 3-mile radius, her corpse was untouched by the beasts. Even though the insects seemed hesitant to feed and the fungi slow to grow in her body, as though even the lowliest creatures feared contamination by the lonely woman in the woods. They did not find a brooch on her person.
Yeah. Also, I know we're done now. You know how thick and big that one-way radio is? They're like
Uh,
fucking 2.5 inches like thick. Those
really?
things are huge. Do you not remember those?
No, I know they're massive.
They're massive. And putting it behind a brooch, I'm
That
I'm
brooch
sorry,
would
but
have to be big.
this lady must have been stupid. I'm sorry,
I
but
mean, she's
that
crazy.
I know, but the brooch was the thing must have been like probably like I don't know, like half the size of her chest.
Probably, yeah.
I I just was wondering. Also, those things don't have that much of a battery life.
No, I
It
don't.
sounded like they had it for like a
A
really
year.
long
They had it for
time.
like a couple years.
It was just weird too, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is a confession.
Yeah. Dude,
This
dude witnessed a suicide.
it was pretty much a confession.
Yeah.
Hey, so I drove this lady crazy, and yep,
Yeah, Isaac's
this
not real. It's actually him. 11 velociraptors did this.
it's 11 boys that drove this lady crazy.
Yeah. Jeez.
This is actually pretty good. I like this one. It was sweet, simple, and to the point. Everything was
Yeah.
pretty accurate to the era of it.
Yeah,
It
except
wasn't
for the
like
battery life. Battery life
yeah.
seemed like months.
I will give it that one that it wasn't
Um,
true.
I mean,
But
it's
at the same time,
it's fictional, so
but also you know those toys that you used to get back then that somehow it's either a crapshoot of is it gonna last 5 minutes or is it gonna last 20
yeah.
years? And you get
You get one or the other. Yeah.
and then you like I bet you'll find like a toy and you're like, huh, I just switch it on and it still works randomly.
Yeah, because
Like
they're
the battery's almost dead, but it's like, huh, the batteries are different than they used to be.
yeah,
Batteries now don't last 5 minutes, but back then,
capitalism. No, I think that was
no,
a good story. That might be a top contender for one of the better ones
it,
we've read.
it was short, simple, and to the point, and I liked it.
Yeah, nice clean wrap up. Not clean, but you know, it was a good wrap up.
It was modulated,
It was.
but it was fun.
I'm not gonna have that one let down if I modulated.
No, I hate it when stuff gets modulated.
God damn it! I hate it when things are modulated. I can't read for shit, bro.